vehicle and asset finance from ABSA. Overcoming all obstacles from ABSA. Going off the beaten track to find solutions.
The Nissan Hluhluwe 400 is the next stop on the ABSA Off-Road Championship calendar, and our preview of this brand new race in the north of the Zulu Kingdom continues. Brandon Harkis, after campaigning with great success in the special vehicle category, joined the Ford stable this year to pilot an SP or super production car. The Ford Ranger went well in the Cape.
Yeah, it was a great event for me, Cape Town, especially being the first event in an SP. I was a bit apprehensive going down there, not knowing what the vehicle's limits are, not knowing what my limits were. And at the end of the day, when you start to race a new car, you really need to know those things. So I took a cautious approach, but not too cautious, and it worked out really well for me. My strategy through the race was just to let the race come to me, and that's what happened. It was a great result. It felt like a win. I look forward to the next race. Obviously, some more kilometers. I've probably done 500 kilometers in the vehicle now, so I'm looking forward to it. And I think with every race, it's going to get better for me. Although I haven't got any pressure on myself yet, I would say probably by the middle of the year, I'll be at maximum and full speed by then. But it's really important for me to bank some points, and that's my strategy for the first 3 races, is just to get as many points as I can, and I'll take it from the middle of the year and see where I lay in the championship from there.
Slowly, slowly, catchy monkey, as they say, and Harkis knows this well. His experience has stood him in good stead.
I think, like I said before, when everybody starts out motor racing, they aspire to race for a factory team. Although when I first started, everybody starts out as a privateer to own time, money, effort. I then moved from there to Motor Out team, which I would consider to be a factory-style team. I really had a good year and a half with them. And, I learned a lot about brand awareness then, motivating the team, your own public image. So you learn all the way through motorsport. You need to learn these things. And obviously stepping up to SP class now, being involved in manufacturers, it's really important. From starting off with your team, there's people's livelihoods at stake there. It's not just for yourself anymore. You have to consider that, although you need to go quick and to win races. I mean, Ford are in there to gain coverage. They're not there to do anything but win. So the pressures are always different, and it's exciting. Although it can be at times quite a lot of pressure, you need to put that aside and remember the basics of what you need to do as a racing driver.
With his conservative approach, Harkis may well be a good bet for a second podium in a row. In Class B, the Century Properties bat of Ernest Corbett has been a feature for a while.
It started out with Mark racing, and I backed him up for years. And then when the bats started to get built, he said, listen, let's build 2 bats. And I said, I'll give it a go. So then we both raced. Then, of course, Granny's involved always. That's my wife, of course. I'm a grandfather. And, I mean, all the family goes. Except my one daughter, because her husband races bikes, off-road bikes. So she's usually going in a different direction to back her husband up. But everybody races in the family.
And for the Corbetts, it's obviously a complete family affair. It appears that it's only the family pooch that doesn't lend a hand.
My wife's main job is to make sure I don't pass out. So she's forever pouring water all over me and making sure I drink. And then in the pits, my one daughter looks after the helmets, make sure they're clean, and I'm drinking water. Also for Mark. And then Mark's wife always supplies all the food for all of us. Because, I mean, we have mechanics and so on as well.
But it seems that Ernest has a bit of an advantage as the patriarch in the car. A slightly unfair advantage the son-in-law has to obey.
It's actually the best, because he really can't answer back, So if I make a mistake, he can't give me a hard time, because, I'm his father-in-law, and if he makes a mistake, I can give him a rough time, which is nice. But we get on really well. And we have an agreement that if I have a puncture, which happens from time to time, I don't get out of the car at all, because it takes too much energy, so he has to get out. So that's also quite nice. He does all the hard work.
Corbett Sr. has it all worked out nicely. For son Mark, it was, I want more.
That's Mark. It was never me. I never had the guts earlier in life, or had the money, to consider any kind of motorsport at all. But we rode bikes for years. Off-road bikes, that was our passion, right from when he was 5 years of age. But then he started to race. He got an SVM Jeep. Do you remember those Jeeps? His last year at varsity, he bought that as his varsity car, which he also raced. So after every race, of course, he wasn't at varsity on the Monday because he was fixing the Jeep, because they used to break a lot. And that's how it started.
And Corbett Sr. says he feels like a king in his own kingdom. It's the old story. A family that plays together stays together.
Well, the first thing is to have built a family, like I have. We have a very tight-knit group. As you know, we all live together. We have a property out here, 30 acres. We all live together, which is unbelievable. 2 son-in-laws as well. That's not necessarily that easy in South Africa. Because young guys in South Africa like to flap their wings too. But so that's at its moments, but we get on really well. So that's I think in itself is a major achievement. None of my kids are living in England or something. Well, we do new projects now that we have more time and a bit of extra cash. We do a lot of projects up north. Each year we go up there for a few months and we go to schools and we hand out booklets on... essentially what we're doing is getting the children to understand that they have rights, because they don't know about that. So, there is a slave trade up there that people don't talk about, but it is going on. And it basically is happening because the children don't know that they can stand up for themselves. And at the same time, we hand out other booklets, which is called Way to Happiness, which teaches, which gives you precepts for happy living, like be responsible, be industrious, which is the responsibility part. So the main message we give is, you have human rights and you must have your human rights. And at the same time, for you to make sure you have them, you have to make sure others have them too.
A credo we hope becomes strong in all South Africans' lives. For Ernest, the 06 crown was big.
We were lucky enough to win last year, which is nice. I mean, it's a nice thing to have done. So really, at this point, I'm more concerned about Mark doing better, doing nicely, and at giving Dakar a go. So I think we'll put our attention on that to back him up, and also the new car we're building. I'll have to test that. So probably when the car's ready, I'll race that under A, which will be a little daunting, because the speed there is a lot faster than I run. But that'll be a new challenge, and I'll test the car for him, and maybe that's the car we'll take to Dakar.
For Nissan, their flagship races are the most important in a series which they've been dominating for a while. The red and white brand, with 4-time national champion Hannes Hluhluwe leading from the front, will be out in full force.
The 2 Nissan races are obviously very important to us. It gives us an opportunity to go to places in the country where motor racing doesn't get to too often, and also it gives us an opportunity to mix with fans. So the one in Darling is always a great event, and we're really looking forward to going to Hluhluwe this year. Hluhluwe is such a booming area of KZN, and the local community seem very excited about the race, and so we're very excited to go there.
Indeed, it's quite possible that the Elephant Coast will never be quite the same again. And clearly, this is a great marketing opportunity. That's why Nissan pours expertise, time and money into the sport.
Commercial value for Nissan is quite important when we evaluate all our activities, and motorsport is a key activity in all our marketing activities, making sure that we show people what our cars can do, and the competitive environment is obviously very important. Now, the benefit of going to such important commercial areas like Hluhluwe is that we obviously have the opportunity to interact with a lot of business people, a lot of consumers and vehicle buyers in that area, and who have the opportunity to show them exactly what our cars can do.
Vehicle and asset finance from ABSA, going the extra mile to get you financed.
This is the Nissan Hluhluwe 400 preview. The fact that this is a new location and therefore new conditions makes the playing field level. But one can still expect the Nissan pairing of Hluhluwe and his navigator Francois Jordan to be right up there in the Navara. They won the Nissan Dealer 400 title handsomely in Darling, while their teammates Duncan Foss and Ralph Pitchford will back them up to the hilt. Manufacturers trophy holders Toyota put their top pair, ever-improving Mark Grenier and Chris Birkin, against their Japanese rivals in the all-new Hilux. The Absolute Barlow World Ford Ranger, featuring super steady Manfred Schroeder and Ward Huxtable, who are the reigning Class E champions, will be right up there again after a fine pipe opener. Harkus and his co-driver Jean Moore will be dangerous, what with his declared racing strategy well known. But Ford's Neil Woolridge and Kenny Schulthammer, the national SP champions, will want to get their own back after a disappointing mechanical failure-ridden Western Cape leg. Corbett Jr., Mark and his nav Rudy Balzer and their Century Property Development Nissan Navara have also shown a market improvement and will be there or thereabouts. There are 10 entries in the SP class, and it's loaded with keen racing and intense manufacturers' rivalry. Should be good to watch. In Class D, the two BB Auto Nissan hardbody entries will be keenly watched as the sibling rivalry between the Duplessis rage on, while Evergreen Henry's Matna and his brother Maurice will hopefully keep the Rhobi flag flying high in their Nissan after it did not finish in the Cape. Kutsia Labaskachny and Johan Gerber in the Raceonics Nissan will also be a threat and have been more and more consistent with every passing race. And in Class E, all eyes will also be on Jannie Visser and Joks Leroux as they try to clinch a second consecutive win. But a danger pairing could be Jack Peckham and Lucio Santoro in their factory Ford Ranger. Peckham is a local and his knowledge here could be vital. But in off-road racing, there really is no form book, and after the Darling run, it's 5 Nissans in the top 10 on the championship log. But there are still hundreds of Ks to race and many stories to be told before the crown finds a head to rest on. In the specials, the motorized bat of Evan Hutchison and Akim Bergman will be looking for the same formula as the Western Cape, where they and reigning champ Alfie Cox and his co-driver Henny Verstegen took a 1-2 finish home. While the Harpers would have worked tirelessly to get their cars set up right after suspension settings let them down. Not that it halted their progress, they were third after all. Still in Class A, Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau in the Total Porter went well in the Cape, which spells out a good short-term forecast. With a TTR racing crew of Naim Musaji and Rehan Barhania always ready for a good scrap. And the same can be said for Naldus Alberts and Colin Hunter in the all-red Big Rapsa bat. With the Edenko bat of Johan and Etienne Besaidno 10th on the log, they'll be ready to grab more championship points. But they'll all be chasing the motorized bats of Hutchison and Cox if the first race is anything to go by. But then can you ever go on anything in the off-road discipline? Methinks not. We hope to see you at Hluhluwe on Friday the 13th of April for the prologue. And no, we're not superstitious. Touch wood.